words. I really can't. What that beautiful soul went through was really, really tough, and she's just showed so much bravery. Yeah, it's I'm in awe of her. I really am. So yeah, we've got a baby girl. I think you all knew that anyway, I'd already said, but we have a name. So it is Mila Grace, and she was, well, okay, so I spoke to Megs yesterday. She was born at £7.12. But then Megs got told yesterday that they got the weight wrong, and it was £7.7. I've got no clue, so hopefully Megs will know more, but let's go with £7.7. She is absolutely beautiful. She came out looking up because she was back to back. Came out literally looking up, and it was so like surreal, because as soon as she came out, she opened up her eyes, and it was just the lushest, honestly, the lushest thing ever. And yeah, just as soon as she's put on Meg, she's just looking up at her mummy, and it was just so utterly special to witness. Yeah, mum and baby are doing well. I'm just going over to Megs's house now. My husband stayed there last night with Esme. I stayed back home for a couple of reasons. Firstly, I'd gone, I don't know, over 36 hours without any sleep. And I wouldn't say I was in the best way yesterday. Yeah, obviously going through a birth and seeing your child, no matter how old your child is, in such pain and showing such bravery it's a lot, you know, it's a lot. And obviously I'd been without sleep for a very long period of time. And yeah, I don't know, like, Meg sent me such a beautiful photo last night, and I think it's the first time it properly hit me of obviously the fact that we're moving away from her. And I was just so upset. I think the severe lack of sleep as well didn't help at all. And I ended up having a panic attack, which I've only ever had one of those once ever in my life. And it wasn't nice. Yeah, I was just really, like, just really upset. And I just knew that I just needed to go to sleep. I just knew, I know myself. And I think in times when you're really upset, I think you just know that everything will feel so much better in the morning. And Esme, because of her autism and very active brain, she doesn't go to sleep till about 11:30 at night. And Megs has, you know, tried lots of different things, so please don't comment it's too late or anything like that. You know, it's nobody's business but Megs. Megs has a very, very good routine with Esme. She gets enough sleep. But anyway, she doesn't actually go to sleep till about 11:30 at night, and there was just physically no way on my body I could have stayed awake until 11:30. And my husband had been with her the night before anyway, when Megs had been in labour. So yeah, he went back with my son in my son's car, and my son went to the gym, and then obviously and my son travel back, so me going over today, I can just, you know, come back in one car. That was another thing. I didn't feel like I physically drive essentially an hour and a half round trip. Please, oh my god, just excuse the absolute state of me. I don't even really want to look in the viewfinder. My face feels really, really swollen. I don't know if it was from crying and having that panic attack last night, but all of under here is swollen. My eyelids are severely swollen. I feel like all of my face, I mean, I know I've got a double chin anyway, but I do feel that, like, I just feel I look really swollen. So please, just excuse the face. But yeah, so I think it's been really nice for, like, my husband to have that one-on-one time with Esme, and it's been really nice for, you know, both of us really. Gave her a nice warm bubbly bath last night before she left, some nice Epsom salts, and yeah, it was just lush. She's just so loving in her own way. And yeah, my husband had huge cuddles with Esme this morning, which was one of the first things actually he told me when he rang me this morning, of what lush cuddles he had with Esme, like proper, like big cuddles, her reaching for him, which is just so lush. But yeah, mum and baby are doing well. So baby pooed inside Meg's. Meg's was also treated for, well, when she went in, because basically she bled that morning and had rung me, and she said, oh, should I wait until my midwife appointment at 10, or should I ring the hospital now? And I was like, no, you need to ring, because it was sorry, somebody is literally right at my backside, and I absolutely hate that. Back off. Honest to God. Sorry, I get so angry at drivers that drive so stupidly close to you. Like, since we've been doing this whole motorway driving thing, it's ridiculous. Anyway, he is now backed right off, which I've just had to slam on the brakes, and if he had have been as close to me as he was, he would have gone into the back of me. So anyway, ran over. Yeah, so Meg's rang, she was asked to go in. They thought that part of her placenta was leaking because it was like bright red blood, so she was kept in from that point, and she was having really, really mild contractions at that point. She was then told she had preeclampsia. She was also treated for sepsis throughout her labour because she developed some form of infection in her body, and they use the word infection, but actually when I overheard midwives talking in the background, I heard them say sepsis. Anyway, she was treated, she was on antibiotic IV, and then her labour wasn't really progressing that much, and from kind of when she went in to, I don't know, nearly 8 hours later, she hadn't progressed at all in dilation. So they then put her on an oxytocin drip to try and speed things up, and her contractions like revved up massively, and she was in like so much pain, and they checked her over again, and she basically hadn't dilated at all. And I think Meg's was literally at the end of her tether at that point. She'd had diamorphine, I think that's what it's called, and she'd been on gas and air, but it had initially taken off the edge, but then afterwards, like, it wasn't doing anything, and I could really see Meg's was not coping. Baby throughout was showing signs of distress throughout contractions. So baby's heartbeat was dipping every contraction Meg had. So Meg's was, she had basically a midwife in the room permanently. And yeah, so they were basically saying to her that if baby's heartbeat didn't like pick up, then eventually, so if baby's heartbeat wasn't picking up after contractions and kept deteriorating, it could end up in cesarean section. And I just basically had a chat with Megs. Megs has never ever wanted an epidural. She's very much like me, a bit hard when it comes to things like that, and I don't know, for lots of different reasons, she just never ever really, well, she's never ever wanted one, and been really adamant that she didn't want one. So she was basically offered one, which straight away she said no. And then I just had a chat with Megs, and I just sort of said, look, Megs, you know, I know you're really against it. I have always been too, as in for myself, whenever I've had a baby. But I said, look, I said, you could go through another 4, because they said they were going to check her again in 4 hours. I said, you could go through another 4 hours of being in this intense pain, and afterwards Megs has said to me that pain that she was in was like pain that she was in with Esme just before she was about to give birth. So it was like, it was intense. I said, look, you could go through the next 4 hours of this amount of pain, and they were coming about every 2 minutes then. I said, and you then could get told that you've got to have an epidural anyway for a C-section. Sorry, I keep moving the camera because it keeps slipping on the mount. I said, you know, you could go through all of this for another 4 hours before you're going to be checked again, and to then be told that you need an epidural anyway. And I said, you know, that, put me in camera, I said that would be really tough on you, having to go through all of that pain almost for nothing, because you then had to have an epidural anyway. So she was so scared, lover, but she decided to have one, and she was like so brave. She doesn't like needles, and then I don't know if it was a low dose she was given, because I didn't even know this because I've never ever had an epidural, but you basically get given a control that only the mum is allowed to control, and you press a button every 15 minutes. It turns green, I think it was green, when you're allowed to press it, and then that puts in more morphine, epidural. So the man that put the epidural in had said that Megs could press that after the first like 15 minutes of him putting it in, which he did, because it wasn't like really taking full effect. I think it took the edge off. And then not long after it being put in, that. She then said that she was feeling like loads and loads and loads of pressure below. Not that she wanted to push, but she could feel loads and loads of pressure. And then basically she was fully dilated. I think there was a little lip left, which the midwife managed to push out the way, TMI, but yeah, but anyway, I am a little bit annoyed. So Megs had been told by her midwife a few days before that they thought the baby was back to back, and we asked a number of times when she was in labour where the baby was back to back, and it was like, oh well, I can't feel, you know, far enough back to feel baby's neck, blah blah blah. And I had, so Megs, my first child, she was back to back. The labour was so painful, and I spent probably about a good 6 hours on a hospital bed on my knees, bent over the end of the bed trying to turn her, because they told me that, you know, back to back it can end in cesarean, and it's really important to turn the baby. Nobody seemed concerned about that at all, and obviously now I think that's why Megs's labour wasn't progressing quickly, because she was back to back, and like nobody had even tried turning or doing anything to try and turn that baby. It just annoyed me a little bit that, you know, Megs might have unnecessarily suffered when, you know, if they'd put her in a position where she could have turned that baby, it could have been, I don't know, like a slightly different outcome. But anyway, baby was back to back, and that's probably why Megs was in such intense pain. But yeah, and then baby pooed inside Meg, so baby had to be treated, I think with some antibiotics or I don't know, something. And then Meg said to me last night that both her and baby were getting temperatures, so they were being kept under observation literally every couple of hours. But anyway, it looks like she is coming home today. But yeah, Mila is just so far like a little perfect baby. She came out, she barely cried, and she latched onto Megs like she had been breastfeeding for like years. It was just bizarre. Like, and I kept saying to Megs, "Oh, you know, are you sure?" With when she was latched on, I said, "Are you sure? There's no pain. It's comfortable." And she's like, "No." But literally, Megs has had. I mean, she did breastfeed Esme for, I think, over 4 years, same as I did Ethan. So she is a pro, but obviously, you know, it's a different baby, and it's really important obviously to get the latch right with a baby. But yeah, Meg said she's just feeding like perfectly, and breastfeeding is going so well, which yeah, I'm just, oh my gosh. I think as well last night when I kind of got so upset, which is hence the puffiness, I think it just been such a long space of time of being awake, but in that space of time so much had happened. And honestly, like, Megs doubts herself all the time. She does not have any clue of what an incredible human being she is. She's just such a beautiful, kind soul that even when she was in all that pain, she kept saying sorry to the midwives if she accidentally pulled on one of the cannulas, like that were in her arm, because she had but one in each arm, she'd apologise for that every 2 minutes. Bear in mind she's having a contraction, so you know her arm's flinging around, or you're not thinking about that, but the amount she apologised to the midwives for the little things that were, you know, completely out of her control. She apologised to me and Harry, is like over and over and over again, like I don't know. And then she kept saying like thank you to both of us, and you know, I don't know, just even in all that pain, just still thinking of other people, not just herself, when it should have only been her that she was thinking about. But I hope she watches this and she does know how proud I am of her, but I'm putting this out to the world that I am so incredibly proud of her. And yeah, just so proud of the beautiful soul that she is, and the most amazing mother. Like her patience, I don't know, her love for her children is just so incredible, and I'm so in awe of her. But yeah, there's loads of emotions flowing round at the moment. Like I said, I think it really sort of hits yesterday of how hard this is going to be, but still love her. And there's there's FaceTime. In fact, what am I even talking about? Not even what? No, there's WhatsApp. That's what we use, WhatsApp. And yeah, I hope that she can come and visit for long periods, but I have to see. But yeah, she has had the baby, and I can't wait to see Mila later when Megs gets home. But I just want to let you all know that she's here, she's safe, she's beautiful, she's just a perfect little dot, a little angel. And yeah, so incredibly proud. But yeah, I really hope you have enjoyed listening to a little bit of Megs's birth story, and knowing that she's here safe and sound. Until next time, take care, and I'll see you really soon in my next video. Bye.